Did you find that real cars were just the biggest disappointment? My Hot Wheels were doing stuff that real fighter jets would have a real hard time with, and landing on their wheels. Your real car, you know, you like back it at 3 miles an hour into a fence post and do $800 of damage. If Hot Wheels were in any way representative of real cars, they'd be made out of like soggy rice paper. You can't touch them to anything. And you land them upside down once! If you want to sell a watch to a rich guy, a word you want to keep in mind is chronograph. They don't buy watches, they buy chronographs. This is actually outdated information. This was true about 10 years ago. The advertising world has actually moved a couple of steps beyond this. The chronograph guy right now is a guy who says things like, work hard, play hard. He owns or aspires to own a Corvette. You know, he's rich in the global sense. But if you want to go above that guy, if you want to get to like your yacht owner, they don't buy chronographs anymore. It's timepiece. You go chronograph, timepiece. But if you really want to go up, believe it or not, they've got another word. Watch isn't good enough, chronograph isn't good enough, timepiece isn't good enough. Believe it or not, I've seen real advertisements the phrase wrist instrument. So if you're shooting for the guy who owns like a World War II plane or something like this, you want to tell him a wrist instrument. The interesting thing about this to me is that this does not apply to women at all. Men go watch, chronograph, timepiece, wrist instrument. Women go watch, 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 the world is on my time. I like that a lot. There's many things that I don't understand about televised sports, but the single biggest thing that I don't understand about televised sports is why we watch anything other than rhythmic gymnastics. I don't know if you know what that is. A lot of Americans don't. But I want you to imagine you're watching a basketball game and LeBron James is bringing the ball up. He stops it mid-court. He throws the ball 8 feet in the air. He does 3 forward flips and balances on his chin. Does a split in mid-air and catches the ball in his crotch without looking. If he did that, it would easily be the greatest basketball play of all time. It would be the first and last thing they showed on his highlight reel for his induction to the Hall of Fame. And that's what rhythmic gymnasts do every single time. I try to help people with my time up here. A piece of advice I'd like to share. I've observed that this is a trap that a lot of us fall into. If you're ever tempted to put a water feature in your yard, really want to, I know it's tempting. I know you're dreaming of that day when you flip the little switch and the little artificial waterfall turns on. And it's magical, and you provided a small, tiny piece of paradise for you and your family. Every time one of those switches is turned on, 15 years later, somebody who bought the house from you probably has to pay a landscape crew to get a truck to drag 10 square yards of slimy black plastic out of a pestilential crater in your front yard. It's a lesson of humanity in miniature. You know, it starts with this hope and this dream of making a better world for me and mine, and it ends with this kind of disgusting perversion of nature, and it just fails every single time. I've been married almost 4 years now, and so of course I have become wise in the way of none. So I want to share a few things before I leave. For all you school guys, if you want to impress ladies and save you a huge amount of time and effort, put aside the car, get it off the motorcycle, and start thinking right now about avocados. What you're going to do, you invite a lady to a light lunch. That can be anything. You just call it a light lunch. You leave a little space on the side of the plate, and you put exactly five slices of avocado. And you put that in front of her. The next thing you're going to hear is, oh, avocado. How did you know I love avocado? And you're probably going to see a picture of that later. You can thank me later. The other thing I want to warn you about is if you have a lady and a disposal in the same house, at one point or another you're going to walk into the kitchen and she's going to be putting like a whole coconut, shoe, or like Thanksgiving turkey down the disposal. And you're going to be feeling nervous to say, you know, that's going to get chopped into relatively large pieces and just jam the entire plumbing of the house. But you can just give up on this argument right now, because as far as she is concerned, a disposal machine that contains a black hole that will take whatever she's jamming in there and send it back in time. This last thing I actually didn't learn from marriage, and thankfully, I learned recently that women can get develop kidney stones. I had not known that. I thought that was actually just a male-specific ailment. And I'm not a doctor, but I'm kind of like, why is this a big deal? Seems to me that's pretty much like just having a tiny sharp baby. Thank you, everyone.